Hello, welcome back to the Wows. Andy Phillips here and Tommy Matthews to demonstrate some great exercises for you. This time we're going to be doing a three-dimensional core training workout using the TRX and the CMT. These two products work immensely well for core training, for abdominal exercises. The key differences between the two, obviously, some of the most beneficial exercises with the TRX for your core, for your trunk and torso, would be the horizontal positions. So where either your hands on the straps or feet in the foot straps. With the CMT, generally you're going to be standing on your own 2 feet and you're going to be moving the CMT around. So different principles, but essentially two great training tools for core activation, whether that be in movement preparation or in your general workout or as a core training workout on its own. And what we're going to look at is 3 rounds. Those 3 rounds have different focuses. The first round is on the sagittal plane, really focusing on anterior chain exercises. Second round is through the frontal plane, and then finally looking more through the transverse plane. So we're going to go through the exercises, teach them, give you some quick demonstrations, and then we'll talk about the program and how you'd piece them together and implement them into your session. So first of all, exercise number 1 is with a TRX. It's called a rollout. Andy's going to take hold of the handles. Some really important teaching points for this one. We want to get this right. We really focus on a very strong, straight body. So glutes want to be switched on, abdominals want to be tight, everything wants to be fired up here before we even think about moving. The only joint that's going to be moving is your shoulder joint, essentially. So the body is going to stay straight. You're going to take the straps away from you. Off we go, Andy. Roll them away from you, and the body stays completely straight. Okay? The focus is on a straight body, movement through the shoulder joint. Breathing is also really important here. You want to take a deep breath in before you start the rollout. That's going to help intra-abdominal pressure, help keep you strong through your torso. On the way back up again, you can just let that breath out under pierced breath, just to maintain tension and tightness, but to release some of the pressure. Okay? To start off with, when you're practicing your rollout, start with your feet, start in a fairly vertical position. The more horizontal you go, obviously, the more challenging it's going to be. Okay, so that's the first exercise with the TRX, the rollout. After that, we're going to move over to exercise number 2 with the CMT. CMT launch. The launch is a great exercise for activating and firing up through the core, but really focusing on doing that in the sagittal plane. So the idea here is he's going to throw the CMT over the head. Off we go. And using the driving from the hips to create that speed and power, he's going to have to decelerate really quickly at the top of that movement, so we can hear that sharp sound, that quick sound with the CMT, and that deceleration at the top, and then throwing it back through the legs. Okay, so that's your launch. After that, exercise number 3, and this would be the second round. So this is slightly different now. First of all, we're going to be looking at getting our feet into the strap. So we're just going to get one foot strap ready. Okay, Andy's going to set himself down the floor, and while I'm here, I'm just going to help him into it. So this is called a 1-foot lateral hip drop. Your lateral hip drop is a focus on shifting your hip to the side and down towards the ground. So it's really focusing on opening up through that lateral side of the hip. You'll notice that the opposite leg is just coming up and out to the side. That's just helping that movement, allowing him to drop to the side and drop his hip down to the side. You'll also notice that the hips are coming up nice and high in the middle, so that's really helping to work through the abdominal and the core area. And there's only a slight bend in the elbow. It's not a push-up position, this one. We're just bending slightly to help us turn. We'll do a few on the other side so you can just see from a different angle. Okay, so hips are going to start up high in the middle. You'll need to, when you're doing this, you'll need to put a lot of pressure through your leg. So the leg that's in the foot strap, you'll have to put a lot of work through there. Hip flexors will be doing a lot of work to keep your hips in that upright position, in that high position in there. Okay, so that's your third exercise. After that, we're going to move over to a frontal plane movement with a CMT. This is called a catch. Arms are going to be straight up above the head. This is a great exercise for recruiting the core, especially the oblique areas. Okay, so Andy's going to take the CMT up over the head. The focus, first of all, is the hip drive. So I really want people to think about pushing their hips to the side rather than just waving your arms. Okay, the focus should be driving the hip to the side, and the CMT goes to the opposite side. And that way you're going to really fire up through those abdominals, through that core area. Very nice. Breathing's quite important in this one as well because it gets quite challenging, gets your heart rate up at the same time, but also it means that you can actually start to release some of the pressure as you're moving and allow you to increase your range from side to side by continuing to breathe. Okay, that's exercise number 4. The final round, the TRX exercise first, coming back to double straps. And what we're going to do now is what we call a jackknife twist. So we're going to get the feet in the straps. That's both feet in the straps. Okay, hips are going to be up high, essentially in a bit of a push-up position here. From here, we're going to drive our knees, both knees, to the outside of the elbows. And as we do that, we just get a little bit of a hip drop as well. But the focus is on getting those knees to the outside of the elbows. When we push our legs back, we want to make sure our hips are nice and high. We don't want to be dropping them in the middle, so we're losing our lumbar spine position. Okay, so that's your jackknife twist. And the final exercise number 6 with the CMT is a throw from the hip. Throwing the CMT over the shoulder, just working on some more transverse plane movement here. So the idea is to drive from the hip, off we go, and throw across and over the shoulder. So really we're going to be recruiting some of the fascial system, the spiral lines through the body. Great for deceleration through the shoulder joint and also deceleration through the trunk and torso. And also great for activating those glutes at the same time. So really focus on driving through the hip first. The power comes from the hip and then you have to decelerate really quickly. Very nice. Good. Okay, so those are your 6 exercises. In terms of the program, how are you going to implement those? 2 options. First one that we would advise is to do it for time, and it's going to be 30 seconds of exercise 1 and 30 seconds of exercise 2. After that, you get a 30-second break. Then you move on to exercise 3 and 4, 30 seconds of each of those. Then a 30-second break, and then the final round, round 3, which is exercise 5 and 6, 30 seconds of each of those, followed by a break. And you can decide how many of those rounds you want to do, whether it's a full core training session, you may complete 4 to 6 of those rounds. That's up to your decision and obviously the clients that you're working with. Or you can do a repetition-based workout if you wanted to focus on more control and just keeping things under control and not having to work maybe on the cardiovascular system and just thinking about the core training on its own. So those are the 2 options. Check out the blog for more information on that. I hope you enjoy that and utilize those 2 products together. They work very well for this outcome. We'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Workout of the Week.